This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, but also getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. You can find a link to our playlist in the show notes. Welcome to episode 62. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Joey Mauro. The percussionist duo, who are both members of Atoms for Peace, have released their incredible debut record entitled Blue Marble Sky. In today's episode, we're talking with Joey Waronker and Mauro Refosco about how they originally met, the new record and its collaborations, and what it's like working for some of the biggest names in music. Here we go. Our guests today are both incredible musicians who have finally decided to start their own band. After both being a part of Thom Yorke's Atoms for Peace supergroup, they're finally releasing their debut record entitled Blue Marble Sky. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Joey Waronker and Mauro Refosco from Jomoro. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we?
Hi there.
Very well, thanks.
Now, congratulations to both of you on the album Blue Marble Sky. It is out now. It's an incredibly gorgeous record. It's very textured and very layered, which is what we would expect from both of you. For those who haven't heard the record yet, it is a lovely kind of blend of organic percussion and electronic bits and pieces there. I want to get to the record in a second, but I'm curious for both of you, as very well-known, well-renowned percussionists, where you both got your start in playing the drums or playing percussion.
Can I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I'm a big football, soccer fan, and I used to go to stadiums, and that's where I got the love for drums, because in the stadium, people play drums a lot, play samba, and that's where the passion comes from.
Cool. And I've been playing drums my whole life. It was always just something I gravitated to since early childhood, apparently. And and I always, played in bands and played drums from a very early age, and was even, started playing shows with bands professionally, as a young teenager. So in Los Angeles.
Was there a defining point for both of you where you remember where you kind of went, I can do this as a career, I can make a living off of this, instead of just like a love for playing?
Yeah, it is. It was kind of a defining moment. First was like the defining moment of like to get an affirmation of the passion I had for drumming. And I was watching this symphony orchestra, and the tambourine player just like hit one note in the tambourine, and it's like an overture kind of thing. And I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. Something so simple but so powerful. So that was like, and then when I was 19, after I finished high school, that I, you have like a limbo, it's the moment that you decide what you're going to do. And that was like when I really decided, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what I have to face, in order to become a musician. And that was, I remember very clearly.
That's very cool. Joey, what about yourself?
Yeah, that is cool. And I had a very similar experience around that same age of 18, 19, where it was almost like I accepted that this was what I truly wanted to do, and was willing to face any of my fears of negative consequences about doing it. That I just loved music and loved playing, and everything else was going to have to work with that sort of passion. But before that, it is kind of crazy. It was sort of like what I was always doing.
It is, I think, a very exciting time when you can kind of work out that love and that passion that you've got for something can be put into a career. It can be a livelihood, which is always a lovely thing. The record, it's not the first time that you gentlemen have worked together. People might know you from a very little known band, Atoms for Peace, with three other gentlemen, Thom, Yorke, Flea, and Nigel Godric. I'm curious, that first album was, I think, around 2012, 2013 maybe. What has been happening in between that time? What got you guys now in 2021 or 2020 to put together an album yourselves?
Well, after solidly doing stuff with Atoms for Peace for a couple of years, there was an initial event, which was our friend has a fashion line, and he asked us to do music for one of their shows, and he usually would have Thom would be involved in that, and so I don't think Thom was, the timing was bad for him or something like that, and so I think Thom recommended, see if Mauro and Joey can maybe do something. And so that experience of coming together and making music outside of Atoms for Peace for something different, and gave us sort of motivation and confidence to keep going with it. And so Mauro, after that came, not long after that, came out to LA for a couple days, and we borrowed some studio time from Flea, who had a studio, and recorded some ideas, and we had ideas prepared, but we got together and worked on those, and that was the beginning of what ended up becoming this project, Jomoro. It's kind of a long process, but then we got busy. There were a couple of years that went by, and then we did another show for this fashion line, and at that point we had some of these ideas that we'd been sort of slowly working on, and after that it was clear that we had to pull it together, and it just kept, the pieces kept falling into place from there. The next thing that happened was the Sony Masterworks got involved, and that sort of gave us the opportunity to tighten up what we had, and then also to to reach out to some collaborators for vocals, to turn some of the pieces into more developed songs in that way. But still, I think the most of the record is instrumental music.
I did want to touch on some of the collaborators, because between the two of you, just having a look at the, I guess if you want to call it like the resume of the people that you guys have worked with, is just absolutely incredible. For the people listening to the podcast who might not be aware, I'm going to run through a very quick list and then I'll get to the question. But you guys have worked with the likes of Beck, David Byrne, the Chili Peppers, REM, Norah Jones, Tracy Chapman, Roger Waters, Johnny Cash, Nelly Furtado, Dirty Projectors, Paul McCartney. I'm very curious, when you are coming up with an album like this and you've got some ideas for songs, how do you pick who the collaborators are going to be? Because I feel that you guys would have some of the most impressive little black books in the business, and would kind of be able to be like, yep, let's, maybe reach out to this person or that person. What elements are there in deciding who features on a song?
I don't think you can open that black book and just call people randomly, but it has a lot to do with what the songs or the idea of the songs require. And also, and has to do also with some aspects of like people's availability and people willingness, and also if they're not committed with something else, and that is part of the process. But I think the way we chose the collaborators is based on what the music was. It's just making a connection, like you have this palette of songs and say, oh yeah, that might be a good connection with this person over here. When you play those games, when you have a column on this side and then you have a column on that side, it's a little bit of that. And yeah.
Some of the features on the record include Lucius and Sharon Van Etten. I'm curious how the Sharon Van Etten track Nest came about. It's a beautiful kind of moody and ethereal song. I guess where did the song idea for that one come from, and then how did Sharon get involved?
It was one of our original instrumental pieces, and that we had worked on, and it was very compared to some of the other tracks like Mirror or No Air. It was very sort of sparse and ethereal, and I had recently worked with Sharon on a song, playing drums for her for a song in her album, we had a really good time hanging out, and I just sort of had a feeling that she would respond to the music and she would do something. So fortunately I was right. But we really specifically thought like, oh wow, she would, do something on this, and then it would, maybe that would inspire us to develop the music further. And that's exactly what happened. So it was really cool. And that is kind of a great example of like our process of collaborating. We're just sending tracks out, and it was time, of its time too. That time in particular, like we were all so incredibly isolated. But then also like, I feel like less inhibited in terms of creativity and vision and stuff like that. Like, it's like, well, I could hear Sharon doing something on this, so she gave me her number. I'm just going to text her, send her an MP3 and see what she says. And she immediately was like, this is awesome. I love this music. I'm totally going to write something for this. And, then I think like 4 months later, we pulled it all together.
It is a beautiful track, and it's incredible collaborations. I'm curious, for both of you, predominantly as percussionists or drummers, how do you approach songwriting? Because I feel that obviously the most traditional form of songwriting, or like sitting down to write a song, is that you might have lyrics, or you might have, like a melody line, whatever it may be. Without lyrics there and without maybe a melody line, how do you find that start of a song?
Little tiny melodies that become little motifs, that become songs. It's an interesting process. I have to say that taking upon this responsibility of finishing up a record, and it's something that you have to face, something new you have to face at least in my career. I don't think I ever have to face this kind of thing of writing, and just gotta do it. You have to sit down and practice this task, and be humble to try make mistakes, until you find something that's like pleasant, that you think that you trust. What was the quote someone gave me about art? A friend said that art is like, you kind of don't know what you're doing, but you just have to keep doing, and you gotta somehow trust that in the end something is gonna come. And it's sort of like that, we force ourselves to get away from our comfort zone of like just sitting back behind a band and just establishing a rhythm pattern, to taking the front of like creating, and having to play keyboards, having to play piano, go and make a bass line for this and develop this form. So it's I think because of the years we have, I guess, doing this, somehow it's like in our brain, maybe deep down there, so you just have to dig in and trust yourself that you're doing something okay. Yeah.
That's the biggest part. You just gotta trust, have faith.
Yeah, you gotta have faith.
Before Adams, had you guys previously worked together? Had you crossed paths in your field?
We did. We met. I met Joey in 2002. I came to Los Angeles to perform with a band called Smokey and Mijo, and we ended up in Joey's studio, and we did a couple of shows together. Morning Becomes Eclectic and Skirball Center, I believe.
Yeah.
And I just developed this I was like in awe to meet such an amazing drummer, and I was so impressed by his sensibility to the music that I decided I want to be friends with this guy, even though I live in New York City, So I used to come to Los Angeles and bug him and say, Joey, let's meet, let's hang, and and that's how we kept this friendship. And we made plans of like, hope one day we can play together, again, and that kind of thing. And then the opportunity happened with Atoms for Peace, thanks to Joey, actually, who recommended me to join them. And then that led to Jomoro.
I'm very curious, how does a conversation like that play out? Actually, from both perspectives, Joey, when you're approaching Mauro saying, I might have a spot in a band with Thom, Yorke and Flea, how do you kind of approach that conversation? And then Mauro, how do you, I guess, well, I imagine that you accept it. As you said, you wanted to work with Joey again, but yeah, how does that kind of play out?
Well, that was a very exciting prospect. It's like, whoa, we could all do something really interesting together. And I was so inspired by Mauro's approach to, percussion, but really making music. So it's like, whoa, we could develop something that would be really cool and really unique. And, keeping in mind that Thom was thinking, about electronic music and the effects of electronic music. But I think we were all interested in, what would happen if we were doing that live and acoustically, and would something interesting come out of that?
Well, we got a minute. I'm going to buy that truck I've been wanting.
Wait, don't you need weeks to shop for a car?
I don't. Carvana makes it super convenient to find exactly what I want.
Hold up. You're buying a car on your phone? Isn't that more of a laptop thing?
You can shop wherever you want.
I like to do my research, read reviews, compare models. Plus, Carvana has thousands of options. How'd you decide on that truck?
Because I like it.
Oh, that is a great reason.
Go to Carvana.com to sell your car the convenient way.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
So yeah, that was very fortunate to be able to, do that. And it was so cool. I feel like we really, developed, certainly my playing changed so much, and sounds that I, imagined, I was able to, experiment and realize stuff, and, and to be able to do that in that kind of a, that situation, we both have free reign. Like Mauro can do whatever he wants with whatever instruments as well as myself. So, and that's hard actually. If we got together, like the two of us without that, that would be, it was one of the things that I think was so cool about it was, we were able to all put aside, I think it was a month, 3 or 4 weeks to just, we were learning material. We started out with learning material from Thom's solo record called The Eraser. which was, a way for us to kind of see what we might come up with sonically. But still, I mean, we had every day for a month to develop a sound, and then go on tour. It was cool.
The record itself still is incredible. It's a great record. Speaking of tour, I am very curious because I know that sometimes with projects like this, where it is like a mix of the organic and the electronic and everything else, and the fact that you're obviously both very busy gentlemen, you both got your respective day jobs as well. Can we expect to see Blue Marble Sky on the road at any point? Maybe not in Australia, maybe not to see us with everything at the moment, but can the US expect any shows in support of the album?
Well, it's not for the lack of that both of us want to do that. It's just the logistics of it right now. It's a bit of a mess. Like you can. I seen bands that are very established, like venturing out and playing shows. Like Foo Fighters played Madison Square Garden, last week, and Coldplay did some outdoor in Queens. But as these bands, they first of all they have like a huge audience, and they have the structure that's set up for both of us because of being first a new band and a new record. We didn't have a chance yet to figure out exactly how we're going to be doing live. And I think we have some ideas, but it's not concrete. Hopefully it's going to happen, Really hope it happens, because we've been doing these videos that we play the parts and then we post on social media. And it's been so fun just to do that, in order just to relearn the songs, in order to play them, from beginning to the end, like in a live way. It's been great to do that. And you can tell that it would really work. It's just, you have to cross this little bridge of this logistics during the pandemic right now. And hopefully we can make to Australia. It would be an incredible honor and would be amazing,
Yeah, I'd be happy to just tour in Australia, actually.
Yeah.
We will gladly have the both of you, please.
What was those festivals that you mentioned before? Big Day Out and...
before we started recording, we were talking about the Big Day Out, and we do have the Fringe Festival in Adelaide, and possibly Laneway, which would be a good fit for Jomoro, I think.
There's some festivals in Australia for sure.
Yeah. Again, we'll throw one ourselves just to have you guys down here. So
let's do it.
Okay.
That's a verbal contract. I've now got myself into a lot of trouble.
We're recording this, right?
Exactly. Joey Mauro, would you be happy to talk about the playlist that you sent through?
Sure, yeah. Well, I put in, just to, respect our where we came from, our ancestors, Atoms for Peace, stuck together pieces. And I did choose that because I felt like a lot of the tracks, even this track, you kind of can't tell what's played and what's programmed, and the live sound they're processed so the drums sound electronic even if they're not, and as sometimes the percussion as well. But I always thought this one captured sort of the feel that Mauro and I had developed live. So and it's I love the whole album, but it's just such a cool song. And then I put on No Air from our album, which is sort of my it just was I was just messing around with it as an initial idea that Mauro and I developed more later. But I never really think about what I'm doing when I'm doing it, but in retrospect, it was like, wow, I really, I guess I really owe a debt to like all of this bands like Can and Neu and Kraftwerk and others from Germany in that time. And so then I put on a track from Neu and a track from Cluster. And then I put in Houses in Motion as sort of another shout out to, Mauro's involvement with David Byrne. And it's such a big influence for me, but also to sort of, I was thinking about John Hassel, who was just passed away. And he's sort of like to me, the spirit of that track is John Hassel. And I think it also kind of, I don't know, brought him, certainly when I was a teenager, it brought him into my listening world. And I immediately went out and bought John Hassel records and collaborations that he did. And and then I put on some Georges Ben and another kind of Tropicalia track, just to show that I love those tracks. And then and then I added an Ennio Morricone track that I love, just a random film score. Because Mauro had put on a Beck track where we sort of years and years ago we did an homage to that Ennio Morricone, or part of that Ennio Morricone. What is it? It's a film cue. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I love the Ennio Morricone music so much. So, and then I put in, I can't say it properly, but Saudade de la, which is our, just an amazing song, that Mauro kind of showed. I think Mauro, you said it had been around for a minute, but something that came about later like towards the end of our creative process of making this record. And then he said, oh, I'm going to have my friend sing on this. And I was like, okay, cool. Interested to know what that is. And when it came back, I think she just sent a demo, and I was like, can we just use the demo? It's so good. Yeah.
Joey was ready to mix her voice. It was so nice.
It's like, oh my God, it sounds so good. But then it turned out I can't speak Portuguese, and I don't think the lyrics were developed, and she was singing into a laptop microphone. But her voice sounded so good it didn't matter. So anyway, those are my contributions.
Some very solid picks there. Very, very solid. Mauro, what about yourself?
I start from there's this guy Belchior, track number 9. I recently, maybe 10 years ago, I discovered this record, and I fell in love with the sound of the drums on that, because I think the whole record is something very dry, and it's in your face, and the tuning of the drums also, it's very, I'm sure they put tape, and the sound of the bass, it's very pointy. So everything about the sounding of that recording is great, and the songwriting is phenomenal. So it's a record from 1974. It just shows that I think some people in Brazil really know how to, back then, really know how to get sounds and have an aesthetics. Then I'm a big fan of Sakamoto, and that record, the Hida Yumi no Yumi, it's very pop, it's like a really pop record, but it has such a twist, and I think was made in early 80s, and I think it's a genius, Then I got River Deep, because it's just like a marvelous orchestration by that producer,
Phil Spector. It's just like, and the idea of taking the whole orchestra, the whole thing, which is like 100 musicians, sending to a chamber and recording with 2 channels, the output of the chamber, and then having the singer sing on top of that. It's just like, who does that kind of thing? It's just so magic and crazy, and the sound that you get is just so amazing. And then Tina Turner singing is just like, oh wow, it's powerful. Henry Mancini, I love that song, Lou John. I've been playing Mancini for my daughters, because it's funny music, and I fell in love with that track, and has a very subtle a burro jaw in there as a backbeat. I don't know if you can notice. Has like a marimba bass line. So and the melody is just like incredible, very inspiring. Then what we have? Cornelius. It's another Japanese. I went in the Japanese phase in here, besides Cornelius and Pizzicato 5 and Sakamoto, of course. Pizzicato 5, there is the beat for a song, one of our songs in Blue Marble Sky called Water Lilies. The very first beat, I totally stole from Pizzicato 5 because it's such a cool beat. Then, Beck, paying homage to my friend Joey Waronker. His drumming is phenomenal on that track. David Byrne, this track, Glass, Concrete, and Stone, has, for me, one of my favorite David Byrne lyric line, which is, he says something like, skin that covers me from head to toe, except a couple of tiny holes. I think that's like so funny. Every time he sings, and we are playing this show on Broadway, and he was singing that song, and every time he sings that line, I just crack, because it's like, it's great. And it's a track that I record the percussion, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's very simple, I did the whole track, but very, I don't know, I feel proud of it, so I just want to show off.
And
of course,
yeah, that's it.
I'm curious, do either of you, I imagine, obviously, with the wealth of knowledge, music knowledge that you both have, how often do you find that you bring new music to one another that either one of you can be like, hey, have you heard this band? And that they haven't heard it, that it is new music to them?
I don't think we ever done that, have we, Joey?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know. I've had a lot of guilt about that I don't really search. I'm not one to search out a lot of new music. That's been going on for a while, and I think it's a strange kind of like symptom of streaming, where like, you know, at the beginning it was like, oh, this is so exciting, I'm going to find all this great new music again, and this is thrilling, and then, you know, 2 years later you're like right back to the things you were listening to when you were 14 because it's all there. I'm like, that's okay, because I love music and I enjoy it, and I actually did hear new music recently for the first time in a long time. That's was like, oh, I should tell Mauro. He would dig it. My friend was working with this crazy band that does TikTok videos from Japan called oh God, I may have to look up their name. I'm going to say it wrong, but it's like wait a minute, let me just look it up. Sorry,
that
guys.
Sounds amazing.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, I'll send you some of their. I almost put one of their tracks on the playlist, but it didn't quite fit. But they're called. Well, they're called. God, I hope I'm saying this right. Atarashi Gakko. I don't know if you've heard of them. Atarashi Gakko, like Gakko, and they're like really, really fascinating. And I think all the songs that I've heard they're very like critical of Japanese pop culture. Like, you know, why do we have to be cute as girls, kawaii? Like, why do we have to do that? And you know, the future looks bleak kind of lyrics, but really creative. And their videos are really, really inspired and creative. The music is all kind of like reminiscent. Well, like my friend who's doing some of the music for them is Money Mark, who's who's part of the Beastie Boys. So their music has this sort of like 90s alternative, but kind of punk rock in a weird way. At least that's aesthetically.
Very cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's very cool. I'll make sure we I'll look for them, and I'll make sure we put the link to their TikTok in the show notes as well, so that everyone can have a listen.
Yeah, I think they're doing quite well.
Mauro and Joey, thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate it, and congratulations on Blue Marble Sky again.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure talking to you, Simon.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. It's really great.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Joey and Mauro for their time. Blue Marble Sky is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to stream the record. We also want to give a huge shout out to Connor at Next Wave Management for helping out with today's interview. You can find a link to our Spotify playlist in the show notes, where you'll be able to listen to all of Joey and Mauro's picks. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Thursday and Friday morning, with guest playlists streaming on Spotify at the same time. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers!
Never sleep hot again with Bowl and Branch's best-selling naturally cooling sheets. They feel super crisp and cool to the touch and are expertly designed for enhanced breathability so you don't overheat at night. Start getting your best night's sleep this summer with cooling sheets made with the highest quality materials. Try Bowl and Branch with a 30-night worry-free guarantee. Plus, get 15% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets at bowlandbranch.com with code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.